Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, April 20th, and this is Nadex Morning Analysis. My name is Todd Rich. I am with Nadex. And with me from Keep Trading Simple is Brian Caprice. We are going to look at some hot spots in the markets today. But before we get there, I do need to share this quick disclaimer that trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for everyone, that any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk, and that this is an educational session. Please do not construe anything Brian or I say as a buy or sell recommendation. We are doing this for your education purposes. So yesterday we spoke a bit about, we talked about China trying to destabilize the US dollar. The US dollar was getting smoked. Part of that is through using cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin. China changing its policy on Bitcoin, making it an investment alternative. Today, the news coming out of Europe is Russia is doing a massive buildup of military power in the Crimea, right along the Ukrainian border.
It's a training exercise, Todd. Training exercise.
Training exercise. There we go. It's a training exercise, of course.
On the border.
With 100,000 troops and massive amounts of
go big
aircraft
or go home.
lined up along the border. So, all these things. Now we're starting to see some of these international events start impacting our markets. We are seeing the U.S. equities all looking a little lower on the open. So I think what we're going to do first, let's go back and take a look at that British pound US dollar, because it is finally starting to roll over. And then let's take a look at what's going on in US equities. We'll take a look at the Dow. But it's, our markets do get impacted by events outside the United States. Brian, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, so I mean, from where we were yesterday, we saw extreme dollar weakness yesterday, and basically everything that had the dollar in a second position was straight up. Everything with the dollar in the first position was straight down. Now you're starting to see, and if you remember yesterday's conversation, we were talking about we needed to find where the rollover point was going to be, where it was going to finally stall, but we've seen this for, 6 months now, where we have one strong trend on Monday, and then the rest of the week it kind of moves in a different direction. So right now, you're seeing the euro dollar basically flat in 24 hours. It's at exactly the same spot that we were yesterday. Pound dollar is up slightly, but again, if you look this morning, the unemployment rate went lower than expected. Again, we mentioned that yesterday, as well as their claimant count was much less than what they expected. So even with that such great positive news, it's only 13 pips higher than where we were 24 hours ago. So, has the tide changed? Maybe, dollar yen up 39 in 24 hours, dollar Swiss up 27, dollar CAD up 50, big mover. Aussie dollar you're seeing has turned green. And then obviously the euro pound side over here, the pound has got some strength, so the euro pound is down. So that's kind of where it's a combination of both. We've had good, good data coming out. We also had this news earlier today that Boris Johnson promises to end the Great Britain, Northern Ireland trade barriers, trying to kind of mend that last little wound of Brexit. So again, should be technically all positive, but what we're seeing inside of the charts is a little bit different. Now, I have this on a 4-hour chart right now. I know you can't really tell unless you guys can see the little 4-hour up top. But the reason why we talk about the curve, and I've been asked this question, I've been emailed a few times about it, I use it to give me kind of a bullish or bearish bias, okay? It was something I picked up along my trading journey. And again, you should always be learning new things. Nothing is perfect and things always change is what I like to say. And it's true. When you hear, people talking about, I was a floor trader, and it's, those guys coming out now don't have the same ability because the transparency, the digital format of everything, it's different. You have to constantly be learning. Well, this was something I picked up, and I really love using it because it really shows, it really shows kind of where biases need to change in the shifting of things. Well, interestingly enough, I don't know if you guys can tell, I think you can based off of my kind of test screen. You can see the price was more or less a parabolic move straight up yesterday. And again, we know why. Extremely weak dollar, very strong pound. And we came up, and I always mention when we're inside of this blue, this kind of middle area here, it's kind of what I call no man's land. It's kind of in the middle between the two opposing forces. And a lot of times it gets stuck in there. You can see it got stuck over here, and it kind of plays back and forth. Well, interestingly enough, yesterday continued to rally a bit higher. We waited for the stall point. The stall point actually came at the European Open today the moment it touched into the pink zone. Okay, if I move this little yellow area, you can see the second it hit right here with this black triangle is, the second it hit the bearish bias, it was like, uh-oh, and we turned and rolled. So here's where the actual zone, oops, it's right there's where the actual zone is. We have the testing over here. And if we drop down, again, we'll just go to an hourly, make it easy. You guys can see I haven't even moved over yet. This is what we're talking about. And again, this is that stall point that we are looking for. As I mentioned all the time, finding when news is really the most important thing in your trading, because that provides a catalyst. Well, the catalyst this morning was at the European Open. Okay, that just happens to be exactly right here. So again, remember, when we're going into previous areas of buyers or sellers, and we have things like a market opening and news on top of it, those are some of the best opportunities that exist. And right now, you can see that this one has already dropped 63 pips. Great movement already, but it also has room to run. Okay. Now, looking at where the action was yesterday, again, we had that Harry Potter breaking through that 38.40, that up, the sideways, the down. They grabbed that prior zone that we broke and went higher. Yep. But you can see that there's some wicks, but there's not a lot else in there right now. So is it a little bit late in the trade? Yeah, probably it's about 63 in, but over the next 24 hours, what could really happen next? And again, there's probably a zone sitting in here, and I don't know if I can find it on the 30. Let me see real quick. Yeah, you can kind of see it, but it's a double bottom. It's like a mirror bottom. So I'm typically looking for that to break down, and it can push much lower. So I think, again, as long as we go through the open here in about 30 minutes and we don't have any major changes, I think that is important. And I think we could have, potential profit targets probably a little bit before the zone. But I think down here about 38.55-ish is probably not a bad target for looking for tomorrow morning. Now, you did mention the kind of the Russian kind of Ukrainian border situation.
Oh yeah. Well, before we jump over there, was this on the pound dollar still?
Yeah, this is the pound dollar still.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I didn't know if you were going to jump over. I didn't know if you were going to jump over to the Dow. I was going to just kind of quickly show.
No, not yet. I'll do that next. Yeah, but you can go ahead and switch it if you want.
Yeah. This is just something that we had looked at yesterday. We said keep an eye on when the call spreads get printed. And if you were looking to potentially play this as a rollover, I mean, it's kind of catching a little bit of a base right here, right now, as we see starting to get But if this is something that we're interested in, call spreads could be an interesting way to play this. Again, this is what we had talked about yesterday: identifying those levels and maybe trying to use a call spread to catch a move if indeed there is a chance here for it to make a parabolic move and to fill this back in from that rather large emotional move from yesterday. Here, let me flip it back over to you.
Yep. So this is actually the pound yen. They're very, and the reason I want to bring this up is because some news we just that came through about an hour ago, but kind of the same thing. We had a zone that we were looking, and again, you can see it hit the zone and bounce back and forth. And again, once we get this chop in front of the level you expected to break, here's that basing in there like we talk about all the time, and we're waiting for a clean break and a pullback. There was your clean break. There was your pullback. It grabbed it early morning today and then rode all the way up. And you're like, wow, that's a lot of movement. Well, it had the same exact thing. It went in the upper third of the curve. It grabbed the zone that we had previous sellers. And then again, here was the news release / UK Open, dropped all the way down. Now, the reason I want to show you this one, and it's kind of the same scenario, I don't like this one as much for a short, and here's why. This one will require some strength from the yen. This is news that came through just an hour ago. The Tokyo has decided to seek virus state of emergency. Not necessarily the best thing. All of a sudden, it's like, bam. Now, the yen does play not only because of its country's news, but also our kind of indices kind of track along with it. But it is one of those scenarios where it's like, listen, if you're all of a sudden declaring a state of emergency because the virus is starting to get out of hand again, not necessarily the something that's going, news headlines that are going to bring strength to the yen. So unlike the pound dollar, which is purely a dollar or a yen versus, or I'm sorry, a pound versus dollar play, this one has a couple more factors involved right now, and I don't know that this one would be the ideal scenario. Any other day, I would say, hey, listen, we have buyers. Look for it to kind of follow the pound yen or the pound dollar, but right now it's a little bit risky. And again, even just looking at it, we got some buyers in here, we got some buyers sitting in here. So a little bit different, more of a warning, I think, of the two. I think the pound dollar is probably a little bit better today.
Hey, Brian, just real quickly on this, I know this is a basic question, and I want to answer this so other people get it. And I know that we've got to do a boot camp on foreign exchange trading. But when you're talking, you've got the pound. This is the pound yen up there, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're showing, all right, and we'll use that as the example. When you look at the pound yen, that, and because we're getting a question about, when someone trades foreign exchange, what
Hmm.
is, what are you actually doing? Why is there two pairs?
Hmm.
If it just real briefly in an
Yeah,
elevator pitch, the
yeah,
first
it's
the first currency, the second currency,
sure.
what you're buying, what you're selling.
Yeah, uh, very, very simply, none of it matters. That's it.
I
As I've said
love it.
before, a chart is a chart is a chart is a chart. So if I wanted to trade this in Nadex, I would just go to the pound yen. I would do the exact same analysis that I do, whether it's in indices, gold, oil, anything out there, and I would place my trade the same exact way. Now, what actually they are is it's basically one country's currency versus another one, and the way that it technically is you're borrowing one currency to buy the other one, and that's all it is. It's just the exchange rate. Like if you like travel overseas, you go to an airport and you see that list of, oh, if you have this currency, you want to transfer into this. That's basically what it's explaining. If you learn foreign currencies, you will never want to travel overseas because you will realize how big of a ripoff those actual stands in the airports are. It's like crazy, right? But that's all it is. It's basically the relationship between how much can you take one currency to give it to the other one. It's different than what most people are used to because it's a 24-hour market, 5.5 days a week. Because our Sunday night is Australia's Monday morning, and that's when the loop starts again, and it ends Friday night at basically 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock when the U.S. market closes because we're the last one. So it gives a lot of opportunity. Do you trade it any differently than you do anything else? Absolutely not. Is it any different to trade at Nadex? Absolutely not. There's still call spreads, knockouts, and binaries on it. There's actually more things to trade, actually, I believe, with the currencies over there. Just because we have, we go down even to like the 5-minute binaries. There's not 5-minute binaries on the indexes. So there's a
Right.
lot to trade over there. There's a lot of opportunity, and a lot of people see Forex and think, oh, it's too much for me. I know it's overseas. In the whole rest of the world, all they care about is the Forex market. I know people that teach over in the UK, and it's funny over there. They could care less about the U.S. stock market. It doesn't matter at all to them. In the United States, we think the stock market is the most important. The currency market is absolutely huge. Like this is the currency market. This is the U.S. stock market. It's very, very, very tiny.
Oh,
So
that's
it,
part of that's out of necessity because
yeah.
we the only time Americans really concern themselves with the foreign exchange market
Hmm.
is if we're
When we go
going
overseas.
down to Mexico for
Hmm.
vacation and you want to know what it
Yep.
is to the peso.
Yep.
So it's just
Yep.
something that we don't have to deal with every day. And just
Yeah.
so you know, just want real quickly on reading a chart. Uh, if the chart is going up, it's strength in the currency in the
Yeah.
first position.
It's the first one. Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
means
So when
the
you see
first
like
one's
the
stronger and the second one is weaker. And if it's going down, it's the other way around. The first
Mhm.
one is weaker and the second one is stronger.
Right.
But we're going to do much more on that. I don't want to take up any more time here
Yeah,
because I want
I'll
to
take 30.
do.
I'll take like 15 more seconds, guys. Euro
All right,
dollar, it's red, so that means the dollar strengthening. Pound dollar, dollar's in a second position, it's strengthening. Dollar yen, it's green right now in 24 hours, which means dollar strengthening. Dollar Swiss, it's green, dollar strength. You guys see how this one goes across the board? It's as simple as that. So it doesn't need to get crazy.
yeah,
Speaking of indices, I know we do want to cross and look at the Dow. One of
yeah,
the things we talked about yesterday was the Dow had kind of taken a reversal. We were looking to say, and we even mentioned it. We said, hey, listen, if we can get a clean break above the 34,063 and we can get like that clean break and a pullback, that could be a launching point, but it didn't. It never gave us the clean break. It actually gave us a failure to go higher signal and kind of a sell right there, which you guys could have jumped in super early morning at 2 o'clock. Again, I wasn't awake at that time. Could you have traded it? Sure. We did talk about if price was able to come back down again, that this zone had already hit 3 times, probably wouldn't sustain another hit, and it didn't. It sliced it like warm knife through butter, right? Right through, came down and grabbed that lower level here at 33,772. Again, it was an area where we had seen this pattern, a pullback, a punch forward, and again, it didn't go as low. Strong burst off. And literally that stopped it, spiked back up, and now we are flat. So I would say right now, based off of everything we've seen, some of the language, Yellen came out with her report on currency manipulation yesterday, which was kind of a very weak statement globally. And again, I'm sure Russia was like, we're going to the border because of that. I would say right now, the way that it's setting up with everything red out there, it's probably more of an opportunity to start getting short today. This could be one of those potential levels out there for it. If you're throwing something in, you always want to make sure that you have enough room to run in any trade position. And you're looking for at least a 3-to-1, which is right there. Looking to the left, I'll throw a horizontal line on here just so you guys can see it real quick, which would go right there. you can see that's the last time that buyers really step in. There's a little hiccup here, but again, what it may do is it may give us that Harry Potter confirmation trade. It may punch through this level, give us a bit of a pullback, and then give us that short that we're looking for. And again, running it down probably into that area, probably into the 33,680 ish range. I think is on the radar today. We could even potentially fall lower. Again, back down here, the 33,537. It's really going to depend on the headlines that we see today. But we have no news for the United States the rest of today, and even tomorrow morning. There's nothing really. It's all basically. Oh, hold on. Let me change this back to everybody.
Oops, sorry.
Yep, go ahead. You're good.
Okay. So yeah, I was just going to kind of show that quickly on a on the Nadex chart. I mean, this is by the way, this level down here. This is one that we'd had from before, from last week that we've kind of come back down to in the Dow. So a way to potentially play this as you're watching it. If we let's kind of do it this way. You know, we keep updating our charts and adding some functionality, so I've got to kind of relearn a little bit every single time. I like that we continue to upgrade and update the software. If we are looking for some potential moves lower, binary options might be a way to potentially play this. Again, we got to wait and see what happens as in a half hour when some of the U.S. retail traders come online and catch this move that happened in the European session lower in the Dow. Brian, is there anything else that you wanted to quick? I know that you're going to be doing the full rundown and at noon Eastern today. Is there anything else you want to sort of tee up out there before?
Yeah, I mean, every week I say it. There's a specific trade that I like my trade of the week. It's tonight. So if they want to get it, they have to come to the noon session.
I like it. I like it. I like it.
Come to the noon session.
That's the tease out. So come today at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central. With that, any questions for Nadex? Anything at all? We've had. I like that we're getting some interaction over on the chat. You got questions, you got access to us. We try to get to them today as we can, but you can always email customerservice@nadex.com. Brian is also very accessible. As he mentioned, he's been getting emails from a lot of y'all. So you can catch him at support@keeptradingsimple.com. Again, Brian will be back in a couple of hours. With that, want to wish everyone good luck in the markets. Hopefully we'll catch you again in a couple hours and then again tomorrow morning. Thanks, everyone.